Hello, friends. We are back. It is the Happy Half Hour presented by our friends at Deep Eddy Vodka.
I wish we had a tagline. I would. Does Deep Eddy have a tagline?
We can make one up.
We can
They're the
make one
perfect
up.
complement to your Panthers tailgate Sunday. Many people enjoyed that tailgate pack with the flavored versions of Deep Eddy.
I'm sure they enjoyed it before the game, after the game.
That's right. And you can enjoy some Deep Eddy too and win some cool stuff by pushing that button on the big screen back there and entering the Deep Eddy Vodka Sweet Sip Sweepstakes. I've got that nailed down tight.
There you go.
After about a couple of weeks. That's hard to say. Not anybody can do it, but I'm a professional broadcaster or something. So all you have to do is enter to win a custom cocktail using Deep Eddy Vodka. Submit your recipe and ingredients between now and October 26th for a chance to win two tickets to the luxurious Deep Eddy Vodka Suite here at Bank of America Stadium, access to the One Carolina private suite, and a VIP experience for the Saints game on November the 9th. That'll be a good time, thanks to our friends Deep Eddy. So, yes.
Are you going to enter the contest?
You should definitely do that. I don't think I am eligible to win, but if I could, I would. I have many fine things I would like to offer to this. So
Deep Eddy's their tagline is fun in a bottle.
Fun in a bottle. Thank you, Podcast Matt.
So what a perfect sponsor for the Happy Half Hour. And now that I'm finished with this card, I'm going full Letterman.
Wow, that didn't go how you thought it was going to go.
I've always wanted to do that. I admired David Letterman so much for flinging the card. If we could get Podcast Matt to make that glass shattering sound in the back, we would.
It needs to be a little heavier. It needs to be on a card.
Speaking of breaking the glass, Carolina Panthers did that with a win on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. Now it's time to move on to the New England Patriots. And, it's interesting in talking to guys about it this week. It's been very businesslike. It's been very, I don't want to say casual, because they've been very intent about everything, but they're not running around acting like they did some great thing last week, even though it was pretty cool for a lot of people. But they have been very businesslike all week long.
We talk about turning the page on Wednesday. As soon as we hit Wednesday, that page was turned. Cool, 130-0 against a divisional rival. Grand. Now we play the Patriots.
That's right. Moving on to the next thing. And we'll be up in beautiful Foxborough.
That's what I hear they call it, especially this time of year.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm going there, I never know quite which airport I'm going into, and I don't know which one we are, and we're not publicizing it either way.
I never know what state we're in.
That's right. It's just greater New England, I think. But, no, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, Drake May, local kid here. A lot of people in Charlotte are familiar with him. I laughed quite loudly when Drake May said, most of the people I grew up watching are gone except for their long snapper. So congratulations, J.J. Jansen. Come on up and enjoy some of our Deep Eddy after you're finished working today.
Drake May still remembers you.
Yeah, Drake May remembers you. I would love to see Drake May and J.J. Jansen jersey swap after this game.
That would actually be epic.
Just a couple of Charlotte
We need to tell
legends.
J.J.
But, as you've talked to guys, especially guys on defense, the Patriots have turned it over a good bit this year. The Panthers, coincidentally, are receiving
upside up in the turnover
now.
margin.
Getting a couple picks on Sunday, forcing that late fumble didn't really mean a whole lot in the outcome of the game, but it was good stylistically and just kind of to get those guys in the mode. You've talked to those guys a lot about that this week.
Yeah, turnovers are contagious. And it sounds so cliche to even say that, but they really are. And so getting right side up on the turnover margin, getting 3, even to your point, getting that fumble at the end of the game might not have made a difference in the outcome of the game, but it's good to just get it under your belt, to get a feel for what it feels like when the ball's coming out, how to do so. Lathan Ransom was a ball hawk in college as well. He was kind of known for punching that thing out and did it again on Sunday. Mike Jack seems to love to play this team because he's got a knack for grabbing interceptions. We know JC's got one, and then Shaw Smith-Wade, that was just such a perfect read. He said he saw that on tape, knew that he could get that. But once you start getting a few, then because it took a while to get to a turnover last year, right? I think there was one in week 2 versus the Chargers, but that was pretty much the lone one for a while.
It was a dry spell there for a little bit.
And so this has got to feel better to kind of get on this side of it. I'm trying to pull up what the actual turnover margin is here.
Look at you injecting facts into this podcast. That's not what
I
we
know.
do here at
Who
the
would
Happy
do
Half
this?
Hour. We're just kind of winging it and saying whatever we feel like.
The differential, okay, so I guess they had some the first week too, because they're still -1 in the differential, but they have had 5 takeaways so far.
Yep.
So 5 takeaways through 4 games, not bad at all.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. And
Through three games.
Right. And
Not
you
bad.
can see those guys becoming more confident and just starting to settle in. I mean, we talked about this, I think, last week after the Arizona game. That defense is actually playing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
That 0 in the scoring column skews some numbers, and it will for a while. But seeing the Carolina Panthers 8th in scoring defense in the NFL, I think probably caught a lot of people by surprise. The 21 in total D and the yardage number, that's probably a reasonable approximation of where they're at as they build this thing out, you know, considering where they were last year and where this thing started.
big
And
rise.
listen, we talked to Ejiro Avero today, as well as all the other coordinators, and you can read all about that on Panthers.com. And he just kind of said it all starts with Derek, and having a healthy Derek Brown makes such a difference for this defense as a whole. I mean, and I just love it. I mean, you know, with Derek, you're going to get a pass batted down out of the sky because he's very active, gets hands up, and he was throwing people on Sunday. Brian Baldinger had a great clip cut up on Twitter. And he's like, this is my Derek Brown Frisbee toss of the week.
Yeah.
Watch Chris Lindstrom go. And, I mean, you could just see Derek had him, and he just chucks Chris Lindstrom, you know, halfway down the field and gets on top of Bijan Robinson. And it's like, okay, Derek's back.
Yeah.
This is the Derek we're used to seeing.
And those are the sort of things, too. This also is going to be cliche. How many cliche things can I say in this one podcast?
Let's count them.
DB does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet, too.
There it is.
Like there is pressure. He's going to draw double teams. Like there's things that aren't going to show up. So you look at it and you go, oh, he only has this many tackles. He does so much that affects the entire game.
Yeah, and he's on one. And Derek, the other thing I kind of liked about him, Dave Canales said it on Monday. EJ talked about it a little bit today too, is Derek's one of those first guys who on Monday resets. And he's like, okay, what's next? You know, here's what we've got to get better at. Here's what we got to work on. So I
think he even said that walking off the field in one of our rewind videos.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I mean, Derek is such a professional anyway, which we've known. I mean, Derek has become, you know, along with the Chuba Hubbards, the J.C. Horns, I mean, they're kind of the conscience of this place, along with cats like Taylor Moton. You know, when those guys are the ones leading your team, you feel good about where it's going because they do their stuff the right way. I mean, he's just such a pro. And, again, to see him chucking people down the line of scrimmage was a sight to behold. I mean, I'm sorry, Chris Lindstrom, you're very good at football, but Derek seemed to have something to
Also
prove
good.
on that play.
Yeah. And just one other thing, because I forgot to add it a second ago when we were talking about turnovers. Not only are turnovers contagious on defense, turnovers can be contagious on offense. And so the Panthers got 3 on Sunday. The Patriots, sorry, wrong team. The Patriots lost 4. No, 5. 5. They had 4 fumbles and an interception.
That's right.
And so that's not to say that that's going to be the case again this Sunday. Every game is insular. Every game is its own thing.
Sure.
But there is something to be said, especially for a running back. I think Stevenson lost 2. There's something to be said to get into a running back's head. It even happened. Look at Derrick Henry. It's happened to him in each of his first 3 games, and he talked about it in the locker room afterwards. He's like, I've got to get over it mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something there, if you're the Panthers defense, that you're going to look at and try to take advantage of and punch at that ball early just to get in his head, and that maybe he'll fumble it.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's a lot to go into this matchup. One of the things I like about the way the Panthers have put things together and are beginning to play that lends itself to that long-term stability that Dan Morgan's always talked about is the defense is getting better and the special teams is playing at a really high level. I mean, we broke it down on Panthers.com earlier today. I encourage you to check it out if you want to nerd out on special teams because, you know, everybody's making a big deal out of Ryan Fitzgerald and the knuckleball kicks and look at it bounce and it's doing funny things when it's bounced. That's the interesting thing about footballs. I don't know if you know this. They're pointy on either end, which means they bounce funny.
I saw where, like, I think it was Nate Tice tweeted something the other day about Ryan Fitzgerald's knuckleball, and he was like, footballs are oblong shaped and made of leather. more people should do funny things with them.
That's right. That's right. The oblate spheroid, as J.J. Jansen likes to say. Yeah. So J.J. is a known friend of the Happy Half Hour, and we'll always make room for that. But no, those guys, I mean, the stats on kickoffs, and the only real way to measure it is the other team's drive start, where they take the ball after the kickoff. The Carolina Panthers lead the league in that category. The opponent average is taking over at the 21.1.
That's pretty good.
When you consider a touchback, which everybody's trying to avoid now, gets you the ball at the 35, that's great. And the thing that stood out to me about that stat is not just that you're number one in the league, it's how much gulf there is between you and just about everybody else. The Rams are second, but the distance from the Panthers to the third-place team is over 5 yards.
Yeah.
And, I mean, when you're talking about a 3-game sample size, a 5-yard swing in that kind of stat is gigantic. And, I mean, the difference between, the Panthers in 5 is the same difference as from 5 to 32. So they are killing it on there. They've got a bunch of guys. Thomas Incoom is, he is a special teams demon. He is a guy who lives to run down kicks and blow people up. He's a little undersized for an outside linebacker. He's perfectly sized to chase down kicks and punts, and he's very good at it. But Incoom is surrounded by a bunch of dudes like Claudin Cherlis, who's not a household name but is an important part of this deal. And those guys talked to Lathan Ransom's a big part of that thing too. Bam Martin Scott, a number of guys. Muma Jungmeta, who joined the team a week ago and already had a couple of special teams tackles. But the guy who leads his team in special teams tackles right now, Bryson Tremaine, of course.
Of course, why wouldn't he?
The one offensive player on kick coverage, which is basically a defensive play, is one of the guys that those guys all get jacked up when they see him make the big hit. And you've seen it a couple times this year where Tremaine's just running downfield full speed, and he's almost the same size as Princely. And when you see him moving downfield, it's like, that guy's moving pretty well. Oh, he's a receiver. He's wearing 80-something, not 50-something or 20-something or 30-something. You realize that's a receiver going down there and doing things with malicious intent, and those guys get kind of fired up about it. That was a fun story. You guys should read that for sure.
Something that I think to be said for both the Panthers and the Rams is their kickers are pretty young. Because I think it was either Tracy Smith or maybe it was Dave Canales. Somebody in the past week, because this has been a big topic of conversation, somebody in the past week made the point. A lot of it is because, of course, the initial question is why doesn't every team do this? If you're going to have to figure out a way within the new rules,
plane out of black box,
right? And a lot of that depends. And one of the coaches said it depends on your kicker. What can they do? There's a lot of physics involved. And just sort of time on task. Time on task also means breaking some habits. And so if you've got an older kicker who has been kicking it off in the NFL for a certain way for 7 years, those are a little bit harder to break. Ryan Fitzgerald, he's had 3 games in the NFL. And then the Rams kicker, I believe, has had just about the same. Okay, so this is his second year. This is his second year in the NFL. It's maybe a little bit easier to mold that clay and to kind of teach them. I may be thinking too much into it, or not enough. But I think it's interesting that they are both really, really young kickers.
Yep, no doubt. Hey, and by the way, speaking of special teams and Bryson Tremaine is in the spotlight for other reasons this week because all of a sudden when the injury report comes out yesterday afternoon, you see both Teteroa McMillan and Xavier Liggett on it still. And that means maybe you're looking at David Moore and Bryson Tremaine running around out there. Now, T-Mac said in the locker room yesterday he's hoping he's going to be able to play. We'll see what he does on the practice field this afternoon. Again, check Panthers.com later today for the injury report. We'll have the latest for you there. But they've got a little bit of uncertainty offensively. I mean, they already had the big change on offensive line, and now with some doubt about who's going to be playing receiver, it kind of complicates things a little bit for Bryce.
Yeah, and luckily you do have a David Moore to kind of help through these times because you don't know what's going to happen with T-Mac. XL, of course, like you said, still hasn't practiced. Jalen Coker still on IR.
Right.
So a lot of kind of question marks there. We talked a lot during training camp about this receiving group being deep, and I think this is where you see it pay off a little bit. Hunter Renfrow should be back today, I would imagine. He
Yeah,
and his wife. Welcome
congratulations
to baby girl.
the Renfrows, by the way.
Yeah, very exciting. But this is where you're kind of seeing that depth pay off because you have a Bryson Tremaine who this is really his first time playing in the regular season, but he's not a rookie. He's been around for a couple of years. Right. He was in Washington. I think he appeared in some games there. And then you've got a David Moore who has played in this offense since he started playing football, it feels like, and kind of can help facilitate things and is just – he doesn't mess up. Right. You know, we've said this over and over, and sometimes I think, am I just thinking this? Then I was in the radio booth on Sunday ahead of the game with Jake and Luke, and David Moore came up, and they both said the same thing. Like, he just doesn't make mistakes. Nope. He's always there. And so I think when you've got a receiver like that and you've got a Bryson Tremaine who seems to have done nothing but caught explosive plays so far this year, I was trying to figure out, sometimes they'll tell you how many 20-plus yard passes he's caught, but I can't find it on here now.
We'll go to our research department for that.
He's got 5 receptions for 63 yards. Don't make me do the math on that. But I know a couple of them are.
I see that smoke rising.
I know a couple of those are for 20-plus.
That's like 12-ish.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, we love it.
Anyways, he has shown him he's tall, he's broad, he's an ideal target body for Bryce to look for. Mm-hmm. And he's only had 5 receptions on 7 targets, but he's made the most of them and gained some trust so far.
Yeah, no doubt. And you mentioned being in the radio booth and talking to Jake and Luke. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Jake and Luke, their names were on Panthers.com earlier this week, too, as 13 of the Panthers legends who were preliminary nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Of course, Luke Kuechly's a automatic finalist this year. You know, Jake, fans can nominate whoever they want to the Hall, and Jake keeps getting nominated. Jake and I have laughed about this. He's like, seriously, man. But Jake had a tremendous career. He's Panthers Hall of Honor member and well-deserved. But a lot of those guys, 13 Panthers legends on that list. Luke's an automatic finalist. Steve Smith is coming off his first year as a finalist, so looking forward to getting him back to that level and continuing the conversation about him. What else do we got to get to this week? We've got, you went back and watched 2015,
yes, I did.
Week 4. What did we learn?
I'll go through these quick because otherwise we could do an entire episode on just this game. I took more notes for this game than I have any of the others I've watched so far.
Pick your best 3.
Oh, gosh. First of all, the weather changed 7 times while I watched that game. Mm-hmm. It rained. It was sunny. Sometimes it rained while it was sunny, which, do you know what the Southern phrase for that is?
Mm-hmm. I do.
It was Josh Norman had another pick 6. I have no idea.
You've said that before.
I have no idea how many turnovers he ends the year with. At this point, through 4 games, he had 5. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to look ahead. I'm just putting in my guess now. I would assume teams stop throwing towards him at some point, but he also seems to chase some, and he got some fumble recoveries too. My guess I'm going to put in right now is that he ends the 2015 season with 12 takeaways.
That's a lofty goal.
Let's see. There was a practice squad player who got elevated right before this game that had like 3 sacks on Jameis Winston. Do you know who it is?
Ryan Delaire?
Yes.
That's right.
Very impressive game.
Don't ask me where my keys are.
I'm assuming this was Jared Allen's first game as a Panther.
It was
He was
only
out there for a couple of a few series here and there, but Delaire was incredible.
Ryan Delaire.
And then there's so much more I could say, but I'm gonna skip to this one. This game, maybe it's just recency bias from watching it last night. This game had one of the craziest plays I've ever seen happen in a game of American football. Do you know what play I'm talking about?
Which one?
It was a handoff to Jonathan Stewart, who, again, I'm discovering was great at football. And he goes running up the middle. He's getting tackled, and as he gets tackled, the ball gets punched out. But instead of it going to the ground, again, oblong ball made of leather, it goes up. And Ed Dixon catches it as it goes up and runs like 40 yards for a touchdown.
Of course he did.
And it was just like, what just happened? It was pretty incredible.
There was a lot of that. That's why it's cool. I enjoy the fact that you're committing to going back and watching the 2015
there's so much fun.
Season. There's a lot of fun to be had. There's a lot of fun to be had later this week. Oh, you know what else this week is? It's not just a big week. It's Fat Bear Week.
Oh, that's right.
If
That did
you
starts this weekend?
It started already. The first 2 rounds were Tuesday and Wednesday. If you have not experienced the joy of Fat Bear Week, it is a project of the Katmai National Park in Alaska where they put a webcam and you can watch bears eat salmon in a river all year long and just get huge in time for hibernation.
And you can vote, right?
And you can vote on your favorite fattest bear. There is a bear, my sleeper bear this year. My sentimental favorite is a bear. They number them. Some of them have names. Most of them are numbers. Number 602. They refer to him. He's got a strategy where after he catches a bunch of fish in the river, he just kind of like lies on his back. They call him the flotato. And because of that, I'm voting for Bear 602. You should too. Make sure to check out Fat Bear Week. Keep it locked on Panthers.com.
Y'all go tell Darin happy birthday.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a lie. It's not even this week. You're just making things up. We will see you guys back here on Monday. For now, we're on to New England, as the man said, and we will see y'all next week. Thanks to our friends from Deep Eddy.